It's a beautiful day here in Kapiolani Park, and I thought I would talk about something that's probably unknown to a lot of people who are thinking of coming to Hawaii or moving to Hawaii at first. Is I think a lot of people just think it's all one big place, like it's one island, and everywhere is similar. Like you're gonna have white sandy beaches, you're gonna be, people just living on the beach, people just enjoying life and just a simple way of living in the islands. But all the different islands and the different areas on the islands are very different. I myself have the most experience with East Side Big Island, and I've lived in Oahu. I have lived on the east side in Oahu and Kailua, but typically I've been more in the Honolulu area, closer to Waikiki most of the time. So I'm going to just be talking about like a Hilo versus Honolulu, and just tell people the difference. So Hilo is where I was born and raised, and spent most of my life. Hilo is on the Big Island, which it isn't the most, populated island. It is the biggest island in size of all of the Hawaiian Islands, and it's called the Big Island because the state is Hawaii, the island is Hawaii, and it's just confusing. So the Big Island is the biggest of the islands, and Hilo is on the east side. Anyone who's been to Hilo, anyone who lives in Hilo knows how green it is. It's beautiful, it's lush. The reason it's so green is because there's so much rain. Hilo does get droughts from time to time, and you do get a lot of sunny weather here and there. But Hilo is probably one of the rainiest towns in the world. It's not uncommon for there to be months and months and months and months where it rains every single day. You can get periods where there are droughts and it doesn't rain much, but typically you're going to see a lot of rain. So if you're going to Hilo on vacation, be aware that you are going to get rain. There's beautiful waterfalls. It's so beautiful in Hilo. You get off the plane and you drive around and it's just greenery everywhere. But it is a rainforest and you're going to have a lot of rain. Honolulu now, kind of Waikiki area, you do have some, greenery, but it's a city. You have all of these very large skyscraper buildings, and then you have the ocean. You have beautiful white sandy beaches in Honolulu, and in Waikiki area. But it's really touristy, and there's lots of hotels, there's lots of traffic. It's hard if you're staying in Waikiki. Let's say you rent a car, it's going to be hard for you to drive to the beach and find parking. You're just going to want to walk. It's hard for locals to go to Waikiki Beach because there's barely any parking. There are some beaches kind of outside of Waikiki that more local people go to. You have Kaimana Beach, and there's kind of little lesser known beaches that you can find parking a little bit easier. But if you're, right now, if it's summer and it's the middle of the day and it's a beautiful day, you're going to have a hard time finding parking. It is more of a city. You have, way more restaurants in Waikiki. My personal opinion with Waikiki is if you're going to be eating out, unless you're spending a lot of money, a lot of the food is really bad. It caters to tourists, and a lot of people will eat at a restaurant and never eat there again. And the quality of food sometimes can be indicative of that. Hilo, there's some bad food in Hilo too, but and there's way less restaurants, but it's catered more to, repeat people and locals coming to the food places. So you are sometimes, there are some actually pretty nice restaurant food choices in Hilo for barely having any restaurants. Hilo with beaches, there's like a Keaukaha area, and that's like the road where most of the beaches in Hilo are located. And you're not really going to get white sandy beaches in Hilo. You're going to have more rocky beaches. Not as easy to just walk on the sand and get in the water. You're going to kind of have to climb around and avoid some rocks. Sometimes it can be tough to find parking at the Hilo beaches as well, because they're not as many beaches. But both places have their pros and cons. Like, let's say you're thinking of moving to one of the areas. Hilo used to be a lot more affordable than it is now. It kind of has, real estate and rental prices have gone up quite a bit in the last few years. But it's still going to be more affordable than like Honolulu area. You're going to get typically a larger place for quite a bit less money. There are exceptions to the rules. Hilo does have a lot less places available just because we don't have the huge big buildings in Hilo that we have in Honolulu. You just have, you have like a handful of condo complexes in comparison to just countless ones over here. It probably is a lot easier in Honolulu to find a rental, but you are going to be paying quite a bit more. And you are going to have quite a bit smaller of a place. My rent is not cheap, and I have 440 square feet. There's 2 of us, and we have a cat. And our place on Big Island that we sold at the end of 2022, it was a house, 2 stories. We had 1,400 square feet. So we're looking at 1,000 less square feet, and we have to live super minimalist compared to how we did on Big Island. But there's pros and cons. If you're, unless you're really, really wealthy, and you're moving, you're going to be moving to Honolulu, or if you aren't right in the city, if you are in the city, you're most likely going to be living in a condo. To rent a house is quite a bit more, and you are more outside of the city generally to rent a house. Or, you're renting a room, you have roommates. In Hilo, you're much more likely to be renting a house just because there are way less condo complexes. If you like sunny weather year-round, then Oahu, Honolulu, is going to be more of a beneficial place for you to move. There are generally a lot more jobs over here. Big Island, there's a lot less jobs. You are going to be, kind of creating your own jobs sometimes. There's a lot of self-employed people. There is a lot less jobs. The jobs that there are, you will, if you're moving over there, you will be competing with some of the local people who also need jobs. So it is a little bit of, it's a little tough. When I moved away from Big Island at the end of 2022, there was a housing shortage. I believe that's still going on. Honolulu, you'd be much more there's so many rentals over here. You'd be much more likely to find a rental. If you want beaches, if you want to go to the beach all the time and have it be sunny and you want a white sandy beach, you're more likely going to like Honolulu. If you want laid back nature hikes, you don't mind the rain, you like to stay home and watch Netflix when it's rainy. If you want to walk the streets and, have people smile at you. And I don't know, I find Hilo, like the people generally, and this is stereotyping, generally the people are a little bit nicer. They're more laid back. Honolulu is just more, everybody's busy. You have that like city energy. They're like going to where they're going, and they're not, and there's really nice people in Honolulu too, don't get me wrong, but generally people are more busy. It is harder to kind of, connect with people. And a lot of people just don't even, I meet cool people all the time and we never hang out after, just because everybody is so busy. They're working all the time. They're trying to pay rent. And some people, the people who are lucky enough to, own a place, they're like working to pay their mortgage. So it's definitely like a different scene. If you have allergies to things like mold, and allergies to things like mold, then Big Island Hilo is definitely not the place for you, because you will get mold. You will be cleaning mold off surfaces, and if you leave clothes in a closet and you don't touch them for, let's say a month, and you don't have AC and you're not running the fans all the time, then you probably will have your clothes mold. That's just the nature of it there. It's beautiful, but that is an aspect of it. If you're sensitive to things like mold, I would definitely not recommend Hilo. If you don't like city, if you don't like, buildings, if you don't like a lot of traffic, then Honolulu isn't the place for you either. So, each place definitely offers its, it has its pros and cons. Nowhere is perfect. I like certain aspects of Hilo. There's also Puna, which is also near Hilo, and that's even more laid back in a way than Hilo, more remote, more country. You generally can buy, a house, for example, and have, a larger amount of land in Puna. So that's, it's also similar with the rain. You don't really have the beaches in Puna, most of the beaches are in Hilo. There are some in Puna. There are, different challenges with getting to the beaches, like long hikes and things like that. So very different places. For being the same state, it's completely different worlds. I have enjoyed living in both areas, but nowhere is perfect. Right now, I'm definitely enjoying being on Oahu. I personally like living in a condo. There are aspects of it I definitely don't like. But if you've watched any of my other videos, I was very overwhelmed owning a house in Puna on Big Island, which is near Hilo, and having an acre and just all of the yard maintenance that was related with that. But I'm renting, and I definitely am not a huge fan of renting. Like the building I'm living in, for example, they're going to start construction on it that could last 9 months to 12 months. And during that time, I'm not sure if, I'm going to want to be there. So it's like moving, and then finding another rental, having it fit the things that you want, is always a challenge. So I don't know. There's nowhere that's perfect. I'm super thankful to be from Hilo. It made me who I was. But I also enjoy living in the city, having the beautiful beaches to go to. Like every morning, weather permitting and ocean permitting, I do like to go swim in an ocean spot. I go there, and there's almost nobody ever there. And it's just so beautiful. It's so nice to just have my feet on the sand in the morning, walk into the ocean, take a short swim, and start my day that way. And that was not something that was possible for me in Hilo. So you really need to look at for a vacation, what are the things you want to do on vacation? If you're going to move somewhere, what are the things that are important to you? I'm not really going to touch on it too much more, but if you're going to raise your kids, if you have kids and you're going to move to Big Island and your kids are white, they're going to be haoles. And it's, I was born on Big Island, and I will always be considered a haole. You'll always be considered, you're never going to be considered local, even if you're a white person who's born in the islands. Unless your kid is going to like a private school, that'll be another consideration, like putting your child in the public schools. The schools generally, public schools in Hilo can be a little bit tougher than, the Honolulu schools. So, and you have things like crime and drugs and things like that. There's pros and cons to both places, but I'm going to log off for now. Anyone who's made it through this entire video, thank you so much for listening. Like and subscribe. I'm trying to get into making more videos again. I kind of lost my video inspiration for a couple years there, but I'm hoping to get back on it. Hope everyone's having a beautiful day, and look at that. That's Diamond Head there in the background. It's so beautiful.